Good morning and welcome to the Orlando Real Estate Buzz. I'm Brendan Rendo with the Homes in Orlando team at Next Home Neighborhood Realty, and joined as always by Joseph Dion of Appley Home Loans. And it's been a good week. A lot of economic news popping out. I think the Fed's got a pretty easy decision for next week. What are you thinking?
I feel like it's an easy decision, but I feel like the Fed might they'll make it difficult.
Yep, he likes to. Anyways, let's get started. And again, welcome to the Orlando Real Estate Buzz. So, Joe, even though the federal government can't get their stuff together yet as far as jobs numbers and some other reports, we have gotten some not so great news over the past 2 days as far as the jobs outlooks go. And the first one was ADP yesterday. This was not healthy at all.
I mean, annual pay was up 4.4%. Like, there's always some positive news there.
Mm-hmm.
But seeing jobs shed, that's continual. Like, this is a sign. Like, we're seeing the data picks back up, and we're already seeing that what we know is occurring is actually occurring.
Yep. And we've talked about it, and a lot of times your gut tells you what's really going on. Less the numbers, less everything else. Just your gut does. So we've shed 32,000 jobs in November. Mm-hmm. Now, looking a little deeper into it, this was interesting because we're in what's considered the South Atlantic area, Florida, Georgia, that area. Mm-hmm. We shed nearly 78,000 jobs. Oof. That's a lot. And I watched the Orlando Business Journal, and you've seen a number of layoffs announced mm-hmm. over the past 3 or 4 weeks. Companies downsizing, kind of preparing themselves for next year. And you're seeing a lot of that. And then this morning, the Challenger report came out, which is the projection of layoffs going on.
Yeah.
And we're looking at roughly 71,000 price cuts going on. Or excuse me, not price cuts, but layoffs.
You got the pup in the background. It's distracting.
Yeah, Joey's.
but it is like this is the Challenger is like this is what's being. These are larger companies that are reporting this, and that's a big number. And to see that number right now in December, like usually you see it kind of soften during the holidays. Like companies, people have hearts, like they don't like to do these type of things right before the holidays, like, or in the thick of the season, like usually they hold off a little bit. So like when you see this happening and you see these larger numbers, it means like, hey, like the scales aren't that great on what's going on.
Yeah, you're looking at a lot of companies, and they're probably looking at end of year numbers and saying, I've got to get these numbers boosted a little bit for mm-hmm. for my shareholders. And one way I can make those numbers look a little bit better is to do some layoffs. So that's, no one likes to do it during the holidays. So that tells you that their numbers are actually really tight, and they're trying to find ways to make those numbers look better overall for people. Mm-hmm. But looking long haul, these continued layoffs is not a good look for the overall economy whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And people who are out there looking for jobs now have more competition and less jobs being offered out there. Yep. So it's just gives you that feeling that the overall economy isn't looking so great. And then when we look at, the housing market and what's going on there, currently you're seeing this a lot, and you'll see it in the numbers when we look at them for Orlando this week, in that the delistings have skyrocketed. And right now, roughly about 28% of sellers have taken their homes off the market. That's a big number of homes.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So they're taking them off because they feel that they're not, a lot of them feel like they're not getting the price that they should be getting for their homes. But again, I think a lot of this comes back to real expectations for the sellers. Are the agents giving what I would consider a real expectation for what that house is going to sell for? Still, we're fighting every day to get over that mindset of, hey, this isn't COVID. Your house isn't going to continue to go up in value. And we saw last week with the numbers that, hey, Orlando, 85% of Orlando's values have gone down over the past year. So, I mean, we got into it with an offer we made where, you're looking between the $600,000 $700,000 market, and the houses aren't pristine. For $650,000, I don't want to have to walk in and paint the house, paint the walls, because they're literally black with dirt.
Yeah.
And, I actually had the conversation with the agents, like, $3,000-$4,000, and this house would look totally different. It would have a totally different feel when you walk in.
Well, it's like you said, like, you get this price point, and you're when we sit there and we say, like, sellers are out of touch, like we're not in COVID price point. Well, guess what? Buyers are still out of touch. That, like, we still look at these price points and we go, I do not expect to have to do this. So when you get the $500,000, the $600,000, the $700,000, the $800,000, even like some of these homes that are selling for $1 million plus, you expect to not have to walk in and be like, holy cow, this thing needs to be gutted. And those little things, like you said, like, if I walk into a house and it's a $200K house and it needs to be repainted, okay. I walk into a $500,000 home and it needs to be repainted because it's dirty. I go, well, what else are they not taking care of?
Exactly.
Now I assume deferred maintenance, and at a higher scale, you go, okay, well, I'm not dealing with that at this price point. I'm not stretching my budget for that. And I think that's what's going on right now.
Yeah. I mean, one agent was upset because I brought up the fact that there are two AC units in the home, and they're 21 years old.
Yeah.
They got to be replaced. I mean, it's just a fact. It's not, I'm not trying to be a jerk, not trying to, but you want my buyer to take on that burden. Why would I do that to my buyer? I'm just not going to do it. And I ran some interesting numbers this morning real quick because I wanted to see this. There's 3,305 homes for sale in Orange County right now. Okay. Of that, 1,367 of those homes are 90 days or more on the market. That is 41.3% of the homes in Orange County are 90 days or more on the market. Can you believe that, thinking back to just a couple years ago?
Yeah, it's wild. Like,
that's wild. Over 41% of the homes in Orange County are on the market for over 90 days.
Yeah. And I think about this, and this is like the dichotomy of where we are. I remember us having conversations a year, like on this, like these YouTube, Facebook, whatever lives that we do on these, the weekly post, where we were like, the market and timeline has changed. Like people are still acting like you're in a marketplace that was 15, 20 years ago of timelines for listing. Well, it's kind of funny because we're starting to go back to that where, before it used to be if it was on the market for 30 days, like something's wrong, we're already past it. We were like, okay, well, with the internet, with everything, like it's 10 days. Like are we lining back up that the market's changed to such a significant extent that 60, 90, 120 days is the norm?
Yeah.
Is what a seller should be expecting now, but conversely, when it shows beautifully, it sells like that.
Yeah. The homes that are taken care of. I've got a fantastic new listing that went live this morning, but he has maintained everything. You walk in, the house is spotless. You don't have to paint anything. You don't have to touch up anything. We went through, made sure, the few things that need to be fixed got fixed.
Mm-hmm.
And you literally, at a $400,000 price range, can walk into this house and just put your furniture down and not have to worry about anything.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the ones that are still selling. To me, I think a lot of realtors are afraid to have that real tough conversation with their sellers that,
Mm-hmm.
hey, 90 days on the market, there's something. You've got to have, if you're not getting showings, you're not getting feedback, but
Mm-hmm.
it just tells you. We've always gone by a rule of thumb that if I'm getting 3 showings a week on a house, I've got it in the ballpark. But if I'm getting 3 showings and I'm not getting an offer, then I'm a little bit high. So
Mm-hmm.
there's something, and to just let your house sit on the market and not either change price or go in and from the feedback, hey, maybe I need to spend $3,000, $4,000 to get this house painted to make it shine up a little bit. Some simple things. I just think a lot of real estate agents are afraid to have those conversations with a lot of their sellers because they're afraid of losing the listing. So, but that kind of rolls into what Zillow's showing as far as discounts that are being provided. Based
Mm-hmm.
on their October numbers, these are some of the largest discounts that we've seen on houses in a long time. The average discount right now is roughly about $25,000 per house.
Mm-hmm.
Which, when you think of when we go through our numbers, that's pretty darn close to exactly what it is here in Orlando.
Yep.
So there's plenty of opportunities, and the pool of buyers is so small that sellers you're going to have to adjust. And right now, what I have to say to buyers though is, boy, this next month can be an absolutely fantastic month to go out and get a house under contract. And Joe, I know this for a fact, can still get it closed before the end of the year.
Yeah.
So that you can get your homestead.
If we get you get under contract before the end of the weekend, I feel good.
I've seen him do miracles for me. So just letting you know. Okay. He'll use some of that Christmas magic that's in the air. So, but you're looking at the discounts that are being given, and then the builder sentiment has decreased. And here's the big thing with them. Right now, they've cut on 41% of their homes, their sales prices.
Wow.
So builders are cutting prices. Sellers are cutting prices. We're negotiating discounts. So as a buyer, this month really can be one of the best months for you to get out there and take advantage of what's going on in the market. And with all this going on, we went with the Fed. What were we at about 2 weeks ago? About 43%, 37%?
Yeah, below 50% on a Fed rate cut.
It was wild. Rate cut. And you've seen a little tidbit in the news. Oh, if we think the Fed signaled. Right now, we've jumped to an 87% chance that the Fed's going to cut next week.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a definite right now. I think it's a definite, especially after the Challenger report and the ADP report, that they are going to cut next week. Now, here's the problem, is over the past several cuts that we've seen, what has happened to the mortgage rates the day after?
They've gone up, but this might actually be a little bit different. You know why? Because this is the first time we haven't front loaded the market's going down. Like if you take the September, if you take the last couple, rates steadily went down before the Fed cut, and then the Fed cut, and then they bounced up after.
Yep.
Rates are getting worse right now. Like today is where, like the last 2 days since we had a great week before Thanksgiving, leading into Thanksgiving, it was great. We were seeing everything. I mean, if you look at them, and then from Thanksgiving on, it's not been as pretty.
No, we actually shot up to roughly what rates were 4 weeks ago. Yesterday was interesting because yesterday it dropped to about 4.05 on the 10-year.
Yep.
So you had that little bit of window where I don't know if did they pass the rate cuts through to you, or they kind of like all sit and like,
They kind of sat because, for good reason. Look what it did today.
Yep. We're back up to where we were 2 days ago, that 4.110. And you watch what's going on around the world with, especially right now, Japan and the Japan interest rates. That Japan arbitrage play is gone. It's it's gone. And that's hurt a lot of people really, really bad. So even with rates sitting where they are, I'm still telling my buyers, guys, we can take advantage. If we can generally get the seller concessions that we want to get, plus get a price reduction as well. So if we need to, we can go to you and say, Joe, hey, what if we take 1% of our seller concession and use that for a buy down? How, can that help us out? Will that help bring things back? So, there's so many ways to maneuver the numbers together as a team that we can really make it attractive for a buyer right now.
Yeah.
And when you look at that inventory that's sitting, when you've got 13 or almost 1,400 homes in Orlando that have been sitting for 90 days, use it to your advantage, because a lot of these sellers are just, not everybody wants to delist their home. They obviously want to sell it. So take advantage. I mean, most of these homes, you got to remember, still have anywhere from a 30 to 40% appreciation value from when they bought it.
Yeah.
Unless they bought it within the past couple of years, most people are looking at anywhere from a 30 to 40% appreciation. So if they're looking at that 30 to 40% appreciation, hey, you know what? They may walk away with a 30%, profit, as opposed to a 35% profit. Better than no profit at all and having to sit in your home, or in a lot of cases, these are people who have moved for either relocation reasons, family reasons, and they're now sitting with 2 mortgage payments on a home, which is absolutely nuts. No one wants to carry 2 mortgages whatsoever. So let's get into our Orlando numbers for the week. I mean, they don't look good, but we also had a holiday.
Yeah.
So kind of take it with a grain of salt. We've dropped down to 296, which is an extremely low level. But again, it was a short week. But here's the big thing. We had talked about the number of sellers taking properties off the market. We decreased 183 listings. So that tells you that people aren't listing homes. People are taking homes off the market. So the number of homes that are out there is less and less. Then the condos, I mean, my gosh, we dropped to 73. Oh, I just hate talking condos whatsoever. Really do. But their inventory dropped a little bit as well. So, then we get into, months of inventory. So even with less homes on the market, The months of inventory is almost up to 7 months now.
Mm-hmm.
That's complete buyer's market. And then look at this over 10 million or over $1 million. They're almost 11 months worth of inventory right now. And I do, I think I've mentioned before, I do draw inspections for a lot of the investors. And everything I've done recently has been in the Winter Park, College Park area for new builds. And everything is $2 million and up. And I don't know if you've seen the builder. He builds a beautiful home. It's Lou. He's from Brazil. Liu,
Oh, yeah.
I believe was what it is. But I get his emails, and I believe he's got 10 or 12 homes that are completed and sitting on the market. Can you imagine the carry that he has on those notes? Ow. Ow. Yeah. That's all I can say. Ow. Ouch. I do not want that. Then when we get to the original list to final list price, down $29,000. What did Zillow say the average is? About 25,000.
Yeah.
So we're right in that ballpark. And look at this, the original list to sales price. We actually dropped below 92% down to 91.72%.
Yeah.
So people are negotiating. They're giving that, they've got that room in there. And you look at here, it is over 1 million, 85%, on average, a 15% discount on their home to sell their home. That's huge. That's really huge. And then you see graphically our weekly sales, and you see how it's, I mean, we took a dive. The week before was rather good, but you know, took a dive. It'll be very interesting to see what happens in December. And then really since mid-October, we have had a continual decrease in the number of homes on the market. I got a feeling that December, we're not going to see a lot of new listings. I think just a lot of people, it's been a, I think economically a very exhausting year for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I think until the second week, usually the second week of January is when we start seeing new homes pop on the market. I think that's when we'll start seeing that inventory increase. But we're still up, over 17% in inventory over last year, which that's still a good amount of inventory that's sitting out there on the market. Then in the condos, months of inventory, we're actually 13 and a half months of inventory. That's just a little bit. Just a little bit.
34 months, almost 3 years of inventory.
Almost 3 years of inventory.
I mean, that's wild.
And what's amazing, that's 298 units. But how do you explain to your seller, it actually is, you may take up to 3 years to sell your house. Depending on how it's priced. I mean, that's not a discussion I would love to have whatsoever.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
But original list to sales price, 92.5%. So again, plenty of opportunities out there for the buyers right now. If you're in a position in December, man, you have all the leverage is on your side as a buyer right now.
Yeah.
All the leverage. I mean, especially if you find two houses that you're going back and forth on. Hey, nothing wrong with putting in two offers and seeing which one's willing to bend the most.
Strategy, right? And use to your advantage. It's not always, because let's be real. Sellers used it to their advantage in 2020.
They sure did.
Yep. And that's something to use to your advantage now as a buyer. Like, there's so many different strategies and ways. And I remember, 5 years ago being like, sellers being like, we want no inspection contingency, no appraisal contingency. You're going to do this over ask price. You're going to do this. Oh, by the way, if you want to buy this home, you might have to sweeten the pot. I mean, I saw stuff where people were like, we'll buy you Super Bowl tickets.
Yeah. We'll let you stay, the guidelines were you couldn't go over 60 days, but there were people trying to get, 90 days post occupancy out of it. And I remember a friend of ours, Josh's house. I think we ended up with 34 offers.
Yeah.
Did one open house and the place was packed the entire time.
Yep.
And got like 34 offers.
Oh my gosh.
Like, okay, let's go through them. Sat down at the table. Let's go through them one at a time. No, no. Throughout like the first 30 of them, because they weren't even close to what the other people were offering, and it was just absolutely amazing how it went. But now you're right. It's, hey, buyer, use it to your advantage. Well, they're looking at another house. Yeah, they are. Yeah. We're not, if it's not what we want, we're not going to bend. We don't have to bend right now.
Yep.
It's how bad do you actually want to sell this house? So anyways, great to see you again. Thank you all for joining us here at the Orlando Real Estate Buzz. We'll be back next Thursday. If you're on YouTube, Facebook, please like and subscribe and join us every week. Take care.